Good morning and happy NFL Sunday. Welcome to week 3 of TSP's Behind the Blitz. I'm your host, Ari Pooley, along with co-host Evan Davis. And welcome to a show that really gets into the nitty-gritty of football, the nitty-gritty of injury reports and the storylines. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I think, the most important storyline here is the Chiefs. They start 0-2. And they're going to be still missing Xavier Worthy. He's been ruled out for tonight's game. He suffered a dislocated shoulder in week 1 versus the Chargers. Told he could return next week versus the Ravens. That's a big matchup. What do you expect, Evan, from this matchup between the Chiefs and the Giants?
Yeah, I mean, 2 0-2 teams in New York. Um, Spreads around 6.5. I think it's too many points with New York at home. Um, but Chiefs have a much better defense. The Giants have struggled, obviously, last week with the overtime loss to the Cowboys. Their rush defense and their pass defense, but rush defense hasn't been good. But with Worthy out again, I think it's going to be a lot of Hollywood and Kelsey dominating the target share. Giants have struggled against guys in the slot, and Hollywood and Kelsey have taken that role on um, a lot for them so far this year. So watch out for those two guys. You still got Thornton over the top. For the Giants, Wandale is having a heck of a start to the year. Um, but yeah, I think Neighbors is going to get peppered with targets. And we're just going to jump right in. I mean, Cam Scatabo, uh, Scattaboo, sorry. He's going to get more snaps this week, 100%. His usage has been going up and up and up. And an interesting stat for him is he's gotten every carry inside the 5 for New York so far this year. So that's big fantasy wise. And just being the bigger, stronger back, we see the intensity that he brings. Saw some things of him on the sideline, hyping up the team. That's just kind of what he does. He looks like a leader already as a rookie, a strong vocal leader. So he's going to get more snaps. And I mean, if he's available in your fantasy league, you should be picking him up. He's a fun to watch guy, and I look forward to seeing him tonight.
Yeah, Scottaboo potentially could take over that New York backfield. Tyrone Tracy has seen a decrease in his snaps and carries. Like you said, Scottaboo received every carry inside of the 5-yard line. What a stat. Obviously drafted in the 4th round, 105th overall pick, almost a top 100 pick. Could be a really vital part of this Giants offense moving forward if they want to turn things around, whether it's with Russell Wilson, with Jackson Dart. We'll see how that goes. But moving on to the next game here, Broncos Chargers, big injury there. Broncos tight end Evan Ingram ruled out for today's game versus the Chargers. He has high expectations going into the season. Hasn't really been a factor in this Broncos offense. Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, 2 good young quarterbacks. What do you expect from that game today?
Well, like you said, that quarterback matchup is the headline. But I like the defenses a lot too. I think the defenses, I mean, so far Denver has kind of lacked, I would say, and hasn't looked their usual projected, top 5, top 3 defense this year so far. Um, but I think they can hold Herbert in check. He's very hot right now. He's got Madison Beer by his side. Um, but um, but anyway, um, but both contests last year were 1 possession games. I expect the same thing. I do think it's going to be like late teens, early 20s scoring wise there. I think it's going to be another 1 possession battle between those two AFC West foes.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that big matchup. Obviously, there are 2 teams atop of the division, with the Chiefs being down in last place in the AFC West. Chargers, Broncos could really have some serious division implications and playoff implications for that. Another tight end injury. We talked about Evan Ingram being injured with a back injury. Packers tight end Tucker Kraft suffered that knee injury on Wednesday during practice. There was some initial concern that he could really miss some significant time, depending on how significant the knee injury was. But he's cleared. He's going to play today versus the Browns, and that's a really interesting storyline. Obviously, Kraft, Jordan Love, they've been that connection all year. What do you expect from Jordan Love against the Browns defense today?
Well, Kraft is big to have in there. He's been very good for them. Fantasy wise, he looks like a top three, top five guy. That's always a good option to be your number one tight end. Um, Today, I think he could struggle. I mean, I'm not saying that's a definite, but he's struggling against pressure, and the Browns bring a lot of pressure. You got Miles Garrett leading that pass rush. Um, and he always finds Love always finds Romeo. As a thing you've seen over time. But I like Wicks. I like Golden that got out there. Even Malik Heath, as Jaden Reed is going to be out for a bit. I like those guys to step up. And when Love is under pressure, which he probably will be today, he does like to throw the ball downfield. He's a classic gunslinger. Obviously, Rodgers and Favre before him. I expect a big play out of Matthew Golden today. He's seen targets downfield, um, hasn't really connected. Today, I think, is the day that Golden, I think we see, his usage go up and stay up with a big play. On the Browns side of things, um, Joe Flacco obviously still in there. Saw reports today, that there's a short leash for Joe Flacco. Dylan Gabriel, there's been thoughts that maybe he would take over. Um, my prediction, and I think Ari's prediction as well, is that he's going to see some time today. That Packers pass rush, just like the Browns, very strong. They looked like one of the best defenses in the league. They're going to get after Flacco. I think Flacco's he's not going to look too hot today. And I think Gabriel will probably be in the game at some point, as I think this could be not close. So we'll see about that though.
Yeah, obviously polar opposites. The Browns, one of the coldest teams in the league. The Packers, one of the hottest teams in the league. Obviously, with that Micah Parsons trade, offense looks pretty good. We'll see how that goes. Could see Dylan Gabriel today. And yeah, you're right. There were reports that the Browns were considering actually starting Dylan Gabriel today, which is significant. Also considering who's behind him at quarterback. Would that make Shador Sanders the backup quarterback for Cleveland? Would Joe Flacco be demoted to QB2, QB3? That'll be something to watch as the season goes on. Moving on, the Vikings, they have been absolutely depleted with injuries. Aaron Jones suffered a hamstring injury. He's been placed on IR. Obviously, that has implications fantasy-wise in the backfield that you're going to talk about, but also their star second-year quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, suffered an ankle injury in that Week 2 game. People were saying that maybe the ankle injury was made up. It's not made up. It's a serious ankle injury. There actually could be considerations that he could be placed on injured reserve. But he's expected to return around Week 7 versus the Eagles. The Vikings are playing 2 straight games internationally over the next 2 weeks after this week. So probably not going to see him in those international games. October 19th, Week 7 versus the Eagles is probably when you're going to see him. But when we get back to that Vikings backfield, what do you expect with Aaron Jones out on injured reserve? Who could really take the lead in this Vikings backfield?
It's going to be a heavy dose of Jordan Mason. Jordan Mason, we saw when McCaffrey's been hurt for San Fran. When Mason used to play behind McCaffrey, he'd come in and he'd get 20 plus touches, and he would do very well. If we're talking fantasy wise, I'd say he looks like, he's a certified running back one when he's the starter and he gets the volume. He's a powerful back. Um, Big, powerful, strong guy, but he has plus speed as well. I think he's going to be a heavy dose of that run game today in Minnesota. Um, Carson Wentz at the helm with McCarthy out. And, I think this actually helps in terms of fantasy value. This helps Justin Jefferson. We've kind of seen him when he does get the ball, it's kind of a force thing. But I think uh, Jefferson will his yardage and targets will increase. I think we'll see more value out of him.
Absolutely. And two more things to note in that game. On the other side, it's going to be Jake Browning starting. Obviously, Joe Burrow suffered a grade 3 turf toe injury that's going to sideline him more than 3 months. That's a significant blow to this Cincinnati offense. And on that Vikings offense, obviously, you said Carson Wentz going to be starting, could have some big implications for Justin Jefferson. It's week 3. Jordan Addison suspended in 3 games. He's eligible to return next week. That offense internationally could be getting a boost next week. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Adam Thielen now. That's one of the most high-powered wide receiver cores in the NFL. Moving on to the Patriots, obviously, Christian Gonzalez missed the first 2 weeks, and he's going to be out again. That is he's one of the top players, top cornerbacks in the NFL when he's healthy. That's a significant blow to this Patriots defense. What do you expect from the Patriots without Christian Gonzalez today?
Well, here's the thing. In the first 2 weeks, the Patriots have been the worst team against the pass. They have been destroyed in the passing game. And I think it's the best matchup for quarterbacks than today. It's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is going to, things are showing that he should have a great game. The Steelers' offense should put up some points today. And you know what? That's going to bring me my first play today. And that's DK Metcalf, over 58.5 receiving yards. Uh, he's a star player. Rodgers is going to get him the ball, especially when the top guy on the other side is not there. 300 plus yards passing from both quarterbacks that have faced the Patriots so far this year. Rodgers is going to be throwing that thing, and DK being the wide receiver one that we've seen in his career, he's going to be getting the ball. Big play central today. 58.5 is a line that's just way too low if you're looking at betting. So that's one of my plays for today. I will have more coming, but there are some that I won't cover. So if you want to see those, you can subscribe, which is just on our profile. There's a subscription tab. You can subscribe for only 99 cents per month. Pretty good deal, in my opinion. We'll move on.
Sounds like a good deal to me. We talked a little bit about the Vikings running backs and Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. Aaron Jones dealing with that injury. Now, the Seahawks backfield is impacted similarly. But in terms of their starter, Kenneth Walker, he's not injured. It's actually their backup, Zach Charbonnet, who's been really, really getting some touches this year, and his fantasy value has definitely been going up. But Charbonnet ruled out, not going to play today versus the Saints. What does that mean for Kenneth Walker? He had a very explosive run last week. Could we see Kenneth Walker's fantasy stock on the rise?
Yes, I think we do. Charbonnet, first 2 weeks, he was looking like he was going to be the guy at some point. Obviously, the touches for him from last year to this year, we've known what he brings to the table. He brings a lot to the table as a running back. Good pass blocker, good receiver, good runner. But with Walker's performance last week, I think 13 for 105 and a touchdown. He's going to get everything today for that backfield. And I think this is a time for K9 to establish his presence in the backfield. And I think he's going to be the guy moving forward because I think Walker's going to take advantage of the opportunity. He has a great story. Transfer Michigan State. He's always been resilient. I think today is the day that he takes that backfield.
Absolutely. And I want to get into some questions here because obviously this is an interactive show. So if any of you have questions, fantasy football wise, betting wise, be sure to put your questions in the chat and we will answer a couple of them before we move on to the final segments of the show. Been getting some questions already. Dobbs Solomon asks, would you start Emeka Ibuka, who we will talk about dealing with a little bit of an injury, didn't practice very much all week. There were some conflicting reports, Is he going to be limited? Is he going to be a full go? Would you start a Mecca Ibuka or J.K. Dobbins?
Mm, It's a tough one. JK going up against his former team. I like the Chargers' run defense. Um, I think, with the conflicting reports coming in, um, is he going to get limited snaps? Is he not? I think it's okay to trust Ibuka today. I would go Ibuka. Jets, we'll get into it though. I was going to get into it further, but we'll get into it more. But Ibuka, I'd go Ibuka.
Absolutely. Chase Price has a question for you. Tyler Warren, obviously dealing with a little bit of an injury, a little bit of a toe injury, but he's going to play today. Or Tucker Kraft, who we did talk about, suffered that knee injury on Wednesday of this week in practice. Who would you start out of those two, Warren or Kraft?
Oh, man. I mean, it's tough, but I think it's Tucker Kraft. Um, Kraft, I think he's on the rise. 126 and a touchdown last week. Healthy today. I don't think there's going to be any restriction or anything. Um, so, I mean, and then the red zone, he's a big target, and loves red zone numbers have always been good. So I think Kraft's your play.
One more here before we continue on. Dylan Thack says Brees Hall or Chuba Hubbard.
Brees Hall or Chuba? Um, well, Chuba's got the Falcons, and Brees has the Bucks. I like that Bucks defensive front. Um, with Tyrod, sorry, with Tyrod in there, it's gonna be a lot of Brees. I think Brees could outtouch um, him, um, but um, I'm gonna go Chuba as the guy today.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about Tyler Warren, and I'm just gonna fill that thought before we move on. Is that he did suffer a toe injury. Um, he was initially questionable on the final injury report of the week to play today versus the Titans. He was then removed from the injury report, and I'm told he's been cleared to play at full capacity today. There are no restrictions on him like there may be with rookie Emeka Ibuka. Warren going to be at full strength today versus the Titans. He's had a good first 2 weeks with Daniel Jones at the helm. Something to watch out for. One thing I want to talk about also is the Bears secondary. There are so many injuries in this Bears secondary, and they're facing a high-powered Cowboys offense. Dak Prescott, Javonte Williams now, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens. In terms of the Bears defense, Jalen Johnson placed on injured reserve. He's out indefinitely. He's one of their top guys on that defense. Kyler Gordon, still looking to make a return from a hamstring injury. He's out this week. Jalen Jones, also out with a hamstring injury. Like you're going to talk about, Nick McLeod is going to be starting in the slot. What can we expect from the Bears defense against this high-powered Cowboys offense?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a big day for the Dallas Cowboys today. Um, like you said, Nick McLeod. Last week, he filled in as the slot guy. Kyler Gordon out. That's probably potentially the biggest inactive. Is the fact that Kyler Gordon, they missed him dearly last week. I believe when Goff targeted Nick McLeod, he had a perfect passer rating, or pretty darn close. That's big. In the slot, Jalen Tolbert for the Cowboys. Um, but funny story, today, just finishing up looking at some stats, some research, right? And I'm like, oh, CeeDee Lamb, he's gonna have a big game. Oh, Javonte, he's gonna have a big game. Good matchup. Oh, Jake Ferguson's gonna have a big game. Great matchup. Dak Prescott too. Oh, you know what? Maybe the Cowboys are putting up 40. Um, because I don't see the Bears defense doing a whole lot. Um, and that'll bring me to another play. I got Dak Prescott over 264 and a half passing yards. I think the whole offense is just going to be firing. And with Nick McLeod starting in the slot, you got the other guys moving up. You got 3 injuries in the secondary. I think it's going to be just a huge day for the Cowboys um, on all fronts. Could see a 40 or even 50 burger.
Sticking in the NFC East, Jaden Daniels. We talked a little bit about him last week, that he was undergoing an MRI on his knee. Did undergo that MRI. No major structural damage, just a little bit of a tweak in his knee, but obviously as a dual threat quarterback, that really hinders your game. We saw what happened when the Commanders, formerly the Redskins, rushed back RG3 from an injury. He blew out his knee, suffered a career-ending injury, and was never the same. So they're going to play it cautiously with Jaden Daniels. He's not going to play today. Marcus Mariota is going to be in the lineup as the starting quarterback for the Commanders. What do you expect from this Commanders offense, obviously missing their star second-year quarterback?
Well, it's not going to be the same, but I do trust Mariota. Obviously, we saw, now Eckler's out for the year. It's going to be a lot of Bill or Jacory Krosky-Merritt. He's going to be the top guy. There will be other contributions from Jeremy McNichols and Chris Rodriguez. But Bill's going to be a focal point. I think Debo as well. McLaurin has struggled in the first 2 weeks, and with Mariota, what can you really expect out of McLaurin? Obviously, talented guy, but probably not the day you put him in your lineup yet. I do think they'll be fine. Offensively, I think they'll put up points. It's not going to be a crazy struggle for them, I don't believe. It'll be a step down, but it won't be catastrophic.
Yeah, one game we didn't mention, sticking in that NFC East division, is the Eagles versus the Rams, potentially the game of the week. 2-0 teams. They faced off in the divisional round last year, where Los Angeles nearly took the Eagles down. Obviously, the Eagles went on to win the Super Bowl, but Los Angeles nearly took care of business in the NFC divisional round last year. They're facing off against each other this week. And one thing to note, Davante Adams, obviously veteran wide receiver, signed with the Rams in the offseason. He's going to be going up against the Eagles secondary, Quinyon Mitchell, second-year cornerback. And Davante Adams had this to say when talking about Quinyon Mitchell. He said, he's a great young player, but I'm hoping I can show him a few things he's never seen or never had to deal with before today. That's something to note. How do you think Quinyon Mitchell, looking to take a step up this year, fares against Puka Nacua, Davante Adams, and this Rams wide receiver group?
Obviously, it's power versus power. Obviously, these guys are all great. Secondary and Tay and Puka. I think it's going to be a little more of a higher scoring game today. Defenses are both great, but I think the offenses are going to have the advantage. I can see Puka and Tay both having good games. There's a lot of stats that back up both of them. Stafford's going to get it out. It's going to be pressure on both sides. It's kind of depends on how each offensive line, each quarterback handles the pressure from the pass rush of the other side. One stat, and we've went over Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, he's been very accurate. He's been very good completing passes this year. And we've went to that stat, adjusted completion percentage. That's been a heavily debated thing on our page and other things. But that goes up to 100% when he's under pressure so far this year. That's pretty insane. So I think that Hurts is going to have a good game today. I like the Eagles in a close one.
That's an elite stat, 100%. Literally does not get better than that.
No.
One literally does not. One funny little tidbit on the Eagles is that during a preseason game against the Jets this preseason, their infamous security guard and is that what it is? Famous? What do we say? Famous?
You know what? Whatever you say, I'm all for it.
Big Dom DeSandro, he was fined $75,000 this past week for texting from the bench area during that Jets preseason game. And the Eagles actually appealed this fine, trying to say that he only had 1 foot in the bench area, but apparently, as Mike Garafolo reports, 5 toes is enough to be fined $75,000 for texting during that preseason game. A little bit of a funny tidbit
Yeah,
there.
I mean, NFL rules. I mean, 2 feet to catch. So I don't know. Not really sure how that. I don't know where I was really going with that one. So we'll move on.
Yeah, let's move on to this
Yeah,
this
here we
Tex-
go.
this Texans receiving core. Christian Kirk and Braxton Berrios both confirmed to play today, and that could be a potential boost for C.J. Stroud and this passing offense. What could we see from the Texans this week, and could we see potentially first year running back Woody Marks take a step up in this rushing game?
It's going to be good for CJ Stroud to get Kirk and Barris back. Two veterans, two guys that know what they're doing. They've been, a lot of rookies out there for him in the passing game. Higgins, um, blank on the other guy's name. Um,
No, Jalen Noel.
Jalen Noel. Those two guys. But now they get the veterans in there. I think it's going to be a step up. I think we could see help Nico Collins out. Nico's kind of been kept under wraps the first 2 weeks. I think this could be the week that he has his big breakout game. But yeah, talking about Woody Marks, Nick Chubb, love the guy, great running back. Getting older, obviously the injury history. Woody Marks looked pretty good last week. We saw his usage increase, and I think it's going to keep increasing as the season goes on. And I think he can emerge as a very good option for them.
Absolutely, and in that division, I know we have some of your best plays of the week, so stay tuned. We will not give them out yet. We're gonna answer a couple of your questions before we get into Evan's final plays of the day. Remember, you can subscribe for just 99 cents a month for weekly NFL plays. Been a little bit of a rough patch over the first 2 weeks, but over the past 2 years, I'll say he has been very consistent and definitely seems like a moneymaker. So we're gonna answer a couple of your guys' questions here. I know there's some of you in the chat that have some questions, and Tyler asks, "Are the Steelers going to beat the Patriots? Is that a sure thing today? What are we thinking with that?"
Sure thing, no. Offensively, I think they're going to show up, like I mentioned earlier, but defensively, I'm not confident there. I think it's going to be a pretty good battle of two offenses. I think it's going to be a close one. I can't really give you a definite there. I think there's better value on the Patriots at home. I think the Steelers are favored on the road. I think there's better value with New England in a high scoring game.
Another question here. JJ says, "Hello, hope you guys are well. I don't know if starting Garrett Wilson is the right move instead of Keenan Allen. What are we thinking of with that?"
Wow. Um, no, I think first of all, I hope you are well. Thank you for asking. But I think Garrett's still the move. I know Terod is in there, but it's actually a very good matchup for Garrett Wilson. I don't know what the volume is going to look like. I don't know what the accuracy from Taylor is going to look like. I don't know what the whole offense is going to look like without Fields. But I'd still go with Wilson because it's Garrett Wilson. But Keenan has a bit of a tough matchup. If that was an easier matchup for Keenan, I'd think about it a little more. But I think it's going to be Garrett.
Jordan asks very bluntly, "Are the
Okay.
Dolphins cooked? Are they going to make the playoffs? They're 0-3 now. What's the deal with the Dolphins?"
Yeah, I don't want to say they're cooked because somebody could like screen record this and then maybe my you know career could be tarnished. But yeah, I'd say like 99.9% cooked. Mike McDaniel That guy needs to. Never mind. But I don't believe in them. I don't believe in Tua. So far, he hasn't shown me anything to believe in him. Um, like they got the guys. I'm not seeing it. So we'll go 99.9%. I'm not going to say definite because I don't know who's watching right now.
I want to move on to some college football. Noah Reisenfeld, uh, NIL agent for Young Money APAA Sports, Lil Wayne's agency, actually. He asks, could we see Darian Mensah win the Heisman? Mensah was a highly touted transfer from Tulane last year. He's at Duke now. He's having a great season. Reportedly the highest paid college football player this season at over $4 million a year. He has 1,300 passing yards in just a couple of games. That's third nationwide. He's having a great year, 67% completion rating, 11 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions, one of the least amounts in the college football landscape this year. Could we see Darian Mensah make a run at the Heisman? He's still a young guy. He could be not NFL eligible until next year, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but could be in the NFL, not this draft, but the next draft. But could he make a run at the Heisman this year or maybe even potentially next year?
100%. I mean, he's got all the talent in the world, and the stats are proving it right now. Just keep win ball games, and I I think we could see him in the conversation. I think it's a talented guy like him could 100% be in there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of great players in college football having great seasons. Another player to note there is Missouri running back Ahmad Hardy, transferred from, I'm not even gonna lie to you and say that I know where he transferred from. I believe it was Louisiana Monroe. Do not quote me on that. But 250
Right.
yard last week, over 100 yards this week. He's making a case for potentially, a Ashton Genty type run. Maybe not this year, but next year. We'll see how that goes. A little bit more fantasy football questions. Reed K34 asks, who would you bench? Jordan Mason, who we talked a little bit about, Chase Brown, or Alvin Kamara?
That's the first question I think I've ever gotten that said, "Who would I bench?" I don't know. I feel like it's a little glass half empty. But who
You
would I
also don't you
bench?
also don't know how many you're supposed to start. How many are you supposed to bench? Like, what's the deal here? Maybe we'll just say you got to
We're
bench
not
one.
gonna. Yeah. Who was the first guy? Sorry, I got caught with the bench thing.
Jordan Mason, Chase Brown, and Alvin Kamara.
Okay. Um, hmm, Probably Kamara, just because I don't know if they'll be in the game a whole lot. I think the volume will be there for all three of those guys, but I think it'll be a closer game between Cincinnati and Minnesota. So I think there's going to be more opportunities.
And he did
So that's
clarify it was to start two. Um,
okay.
so we
Okay,
have that answer
that's a little
for
more
you.
glass half full.
Yeah, there you go.
Hope,
I mean, you gotta look at it positive.
yeah,
Yeah, look at it
hope everything's all
negatively.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Second go.
We have another question here from Tyler who says Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, or Quentin Johnston in his flex spot. So we're only starting one this time.
Oh, well, okay. If it's PPR, it's Olave for me. Because he's going to get the ball. He's getting targets galore. I think it's a pretty good matchup for him today. If it's non PPR, give me JMO. That big play potential in a 53.5 over under game. Give me that. So if you're PPR, Olave, non PPR, JMO for me.
Absolutely. And we will continue to answer some more questions before we get into Evan's best plays of the week. We're live on Instagram. We're live on TikTok. We're live on YouTube. We can see the chat on all platforms. So if you're on Instagram, you're on Instagram. If you're on TikTok, if you're on YouTube, put your questions in the chat. We'll be sure to get to some of your questions. Don't have any right now. Still waiting on those. So should we get into your final plays of the week?
Yeah, of course. So I'll go with two more. I'm giving you an extra play today, guys, on the live. There's 8 in total. So I'm going with 4. There's 4 more. Subscribe. Um, anyway, so we've talked about Ibuka. In Tampa Bay, conflicting reports. Is he limited? Is he not? Regardless, Sterling Shepard. He plays, I believe, second most in the slot for Tampa Bay. It's him and Otten are pretty close. Um, But the Jets give up a lot of targets to slot receivers, probably because you got Sauce shadowing out there on the outside. Today it's Mike Evans. So Shepard on the inside going to have a lot of catch and run opportunity, I believe. His line's only 25.5. I'm taking the over. And I think that's even better value if Ibuka somehow misses some plays. So Shepard is my third play that I'm giving you. Should I hop right into the fourth one? Or you got
Yeah,
anything you want to
absolutely.
add?
Let's do it. Let's do
All
it.
right. This one might be my most confident this week. This guy, he's got the history against this team. He's got the matchup. He's got the spread in his favor. He's going to be getting the ball. It's going to be Bijan Robinson over 84.5 rushing yards. I think it's going to be a lot of big runs for him today. Explosive plays. Um, Panthers' run defense has been one of the worst this season, and last season, and probably the season before. But we won't go there. But Bijan, he's got a great history against them as well. I believe last 2 games that they played, he went over this line. Um, they're favored on the road. I think he's going to be getting the ball more than the first 2 games. Algiers going to cut into it a little bit, but the explosive plays are going to override any of that, the touch worries. So I think it's going to be heavy Bijan, 100 plus today, but his line's only 84.5. So taking the over.
One thing to add,
Yeah, tell me.
Falcons head coach Raheem Morris called Bijan the best running back in the league last week. 22 carries, 143 rushing yards. Struggled a little bit the week before, rushing wise, only 24 rushing yards, but he went over 100 receiving yards in week 1, 143 last week. Could be set to have a big week this week. Get into some more questions. The Dr. Dollar asks, you got to start 2, and you got to bench 2. So it's not positive, it's not negative. It's just we're
Okay.
neutral here.
There is a glass.
We're going to start or bench Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Ricky Pearsall, or DJ Moore. One thing to note before I let you get into it, give you some time to think. Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver 1 for the 49ers. Jawan Jennings dealing with a shoulder injury. He's not going to be active today. Who would you go with? Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Ricky Pearsall, or DJ Moore?
Give me Devontae and Pearsall as your 2 starters. Like we said before about Garrett Wilson, I think it's a good matchup, but quarterback, it's a little iffy there. No Juwan Jennings. I was projecting Jennings to have a huge week if he played, but he's not. I think that's going to be Pearsall when it comes to 49ers receivers. They're going to be in the game the whole time. I can see some points there. Mac Jones looked pretty serviceable, more than serviceable last week. So, and we talked about Adams as well. The Eagles funnel a lot of their targets to the outside, and that's where Adams is the most. And I think Adams is going to take advantage. So him and Pearsall would be my 2 starts, and bench Moore and Garrett Wilson.
I like that. Absolutely, I like that. Couple more questions here before we head off to continue with our NFL coverage on the page this week. And before I get to this question, I just want to reiterate to anybody watching who maybe have just joined on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're going to answer a couple more of your questions, a little bit of a Q&A segment. So be sure to put your questions in the chat. We will get to as many as we can. And let's get to Aiden O'Hara, who asked to pick one. Jerry Jeudy, Emeka Ibuka, or it says Smith, so I'm going to assume Devontae Smith.
Yes, I'd assume that's Devontae. Um, I think Ibuka by a small amount. Um, Smith's always kind of a hard tell. But Ibuka, we'll see about his snaps. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal, but um, like I said before, Jets give up a lot of slot targets. That's where Ibuka's going to be. And if the snaps aren't a huge deal, conflicting reports, we don't know for sure. But still, I think a big play could be in his cards, um, at least. Um, Plus, volume when he's in the game.
Absolutely. I would there are, like you said, conflicting reports about Emeka Ibuka. I would lean towards the side of he's gonna play as normal, but they're gonna keep an eye on it. If that hamstring, I believe hamstring is bothering him at any
Hip
point.
and groin, I think.
Hip and groin, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
either way, if it's bothering him at any
around there. It
point,
might start with an H. Yeah.
yeah. If it at any point if it's bothering him, they could limit his snaps in that. But I would say he's a full go as long as everything goes according to plan, barring a pregame setback, all of that. Abuka could be a good play. We do have a couple more questions. Nate Baker asks, start one, Ricky Pearsall, Ted McMillan, Travis Etienne at flex.
Hello, Nate. Um, Nice to meet you. But we'll go. Um, that's a tough one. They're all around the same for me. Who's the second guy again?
Ricky Pearsall, Ted McMillan, or
Okay, yeah,
Etienne.
they're. I like them all this week. I truly do. Um, Man, um, with the increased usage potentially of Bashal Tutin from Jacksonville, I like Tet. I like the volume of Tet. I think they're going to be down a little bit this week. He's going to get the ball, so it's Tet.
And one thing to note on that note is that Panthers' second year wide receiver Xavier Leggett dealing with a little bit of a hamstring injury. He's going to be out today. So heavy focus on Ted McMillan in that passing game. Going to answer two more before we head off to continue our NFL coverage on the Instagram page. We do have a question from Jim who asks, I believe it has to be pick one, Marvin Harrison Jr. or Emeka Ibuka.
Usually when they say "or," it means pick one.
Well,
But anyway,
there's a slash.
yeah,
I
no,
didn't know if he was
it's
making
fine.
a statement or asking a
It's
question.
gonna be all right. No, you're doing a good job. But we'll go. We'll go. Yeah, we'll go Marv. But once again, both in the same category. There's a little bit of uncertainty with Buka. Um, but Marv was a guy I was thinking about being as like a start slash bet today. I think he has a good matchup on the outside. Um, I'd go with Marv um, as a pick one.
Okay. All right. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, I don't know.
No, that's all right. Next one.
In a deep league, we could start both of them. We have a
All right.
question here from Cooper who asks, start one, Debo Samuel or Lad McConkey.
It's Lad. Next question.
All right. We do have another question here, and 7-4 heavy, I believe, if I'm saying that right, says Nico Collins or Christian Kirk, same team, which is really interesting. Nico Collins is. I'm gonna answer this for you, okay?
There you go.
We're gonna go with Nico Collins. He's certified wide receiver one for the Texans. Christian Kirk has made an impact in
If
fantasy.
if Christian Kirk has more fantasy points than Nico Collins today, we will give you $10.
Yeah, okay. Let's confirm that. I will give you $10, 7-4 heavy if Christian Kirk has more fantasy points
There it is.
than Nico Collins.
Very good.
I mean, Kirk had good production for the Jaguars over the past couple of years. Obviously, signs with the Texans now, or traded to the Texans rather. I don't see a world where he outproduces Nico Collins in his first game back from an injury.
Probably not, but
No, yeah,
maybe this guy knows something, and nobody knows anything. So here we go.
We're gonna answer two more questions,
Two
and
more.
Brody M Love asks Tucker Craft or Jawan Johnson. Johnson had a big week one, I believe. I don't. I
He's
am
had
not
he's had
sure. Did
two
he
pretty good weeks.
two pretty good weeks?
Um,
And
yeah,
Tucker
two like
Craft
top
had
tight end weeks. And
and Tucker
Kraft
Craft has
Kraft is
had
Tucker Kraft.
a great season. So who would
Yeah.
you go with there?
Yeah. Gosh. I think you could see Juwan. I mean, game script favors Juwan. Um, Matchup favors Kraft. It's really tough. With the Kraft injury, oh jeez. I'll go Kraft because Kraft is. I mean, he's coming off 126 and touchdown. I mean, not many tight ends are going to do that.
And
So
that's a tough one. He
yeah.
did suffer that knee injury on Wednesday this week. Cleared to play. There was some concern. We'll see how that goes. Similar to the Emeka Ibuka situation, like if he goes about this game and his knee isn't feeling good, they could limit his snaps, and they have some guys behind him. Luke Musgrave,
Mhm.
their tight end group is deep, so that'll be something to watch definitely. I do think you made the right choice there. Last question that we are gonna get to. I'm not even gonna try to say the username, but the question is picking one: Nick Chubb or Quentin Johnston.
Nick Chubb or Quentin Johnston. Goodness. Um, well, that's tough. But give me give me Johnston. That offense just looks better. Like we talked about Woody Marks, I think Marks is going to see more. There is potential that Johnston gets some looks from Pat Surtain. Um, but Surtain didn't look incredible last week. And I think they move around the receivers enough where it might not be all Surtain. So I'll take Johnson.
Absolutely, and when we asked that last question, we got a barrage of more
Barrage.
questions. So
The
I'm gonna
heck of a
pick one
word, man.
more. I'm gonna pick
Mhm.
one more because we still have a little bit before these NFL games start.
Yeah,
I'm gonna pick a random one because there's about 10 of them.
it's a lot.
Uh, I'm gonna give you a little bit of a tough one
All right.
because you gotta earn
It's my keep. Yeah, yeah, you're right.
you gotta earn it. We gotta
Yeah,
pick
yeah, yeah.
one. Only pick one. I
Only
repeat,
pick
we're just
one.
picking one.
One. Okay.
Jim
All right.
Luzignan
Yeah, don't say that.
says,
I don't know what you just called me, but here we
no,
go.
it's the guy that asked the question,
Yeah, all
asks
right.
Keenan Allen, Jamison Williams, or Chris Olave.
Uh,
I believe you were asked a similar question earlier.
yeah, I think so. But dementia's kicking in. But if we're looking at PPR, Allen Olave and who's the other guy? JMO.
JMO.
JMO. PPR, give me Olave. So pick one. All right.
Yeah, pick one.
Olave PPR. Non PPR, I'll go JMO. It's kind of the same, I think, thing as earlier, but yeah, thanks for asking that one. Jim, whatever your last name is.
The chat is kind of freaking out right now, laughing at you because you thought I was calling you whatever that guy's last name was. So
Oh yeah,
that's
no,
it.
it's just in the notes. I bring it out sometimes. Yeah, I don't, yeah. All right, here we go.
That's a good way to end off our week 3 Behind the Blitz NFL preview show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Ari Pooley, along with Evan Davis. We look forward to this week ahead of NFL games. Surely going to be another great one. We've seen a lot of great games in the first 2 weeks, and I look forward to seeing some more good ones in week 3. Any final thoughts?
Let's have a great day, guys. I just want to say some words of wisdom. Just do your best in everything that you do. If that means do your best at watching football today, go and do it. right? You got free will, guys. Just go and have a heck of a day and keep stacking them, right? That's what I'm saying.
I like that. I love that. Absolutely. Let's
Yeah,
end it on that note. Have a great day. Keep stacking them.
keep
Like Evan
stacking them.
said, we'll be back
Yeah,
next week for some more fantasy football questions, discuss some injuries, discuss some storylines. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart for tuning in.
yeah. From the top of my
We
heart, we'll
will
go top.